In Pretoria, drivers mainly linked to Uber, Bolt and Didi are on a 3-day strike, calling on officials to address exploitation and a lack of regulation and criminal activity in the sector. They want authorities to guard against the creation of app monopolies. Gauteng Public Transport and Road Infrastructure MEC Jacob Mamabolo met with the leaders of the disgruntled e-hailing operators. He joins us now to give us an update. MEC, good evening and thank you so much for your time joining us tonight here on In Focus. You had initially appealed to the operators to abandon their planned protests or else you'll be taking them to court. You seem to have taken a different stance now of getting them around the table and talking around this particular dispute. What are they saying?
Well, firstly, greetings to you, to all the viewers, and thanks for inviting me. I must say that, yes, yesterday, on Monday, we had a very good discussions with the leaders of the e-hailing industry, business partners, drivers, and the first issue that we raised with them follows the letters that were written to the South African Police Service, to Joburg Metro Police, and of course to them, in which we wanted assurance that the march will not have incidences or acts of violence. This province is the economic hub of the country, and any disruption, however small it might be, of the high-capacity roads, of movement of people and goods impact the economy and its productivity. And that's the issue we're raising. And they gave us assurances that there will not be a single incident of violence. They have strengthened their capacity to monitor. They will ensure that there's no intimidation. And it was in that context we then said, let's give them a chance. After all, people have got the right to protest, but peace and stability in our province, respect for road users, for motorists, people going to work, learners going to school, people doing business. We thought that stability and peace was very important. The quick point I want to make is that we had a very good discussions in the sense that we have a in-principle agreement for even the next round of discussions before the end of this week, and to take forward the issues that they are raising. And to that extent, we are looking forward to even much more, fruitful and constructive discussions around the table, which is the principle we have always upheld.
Yeah. This particular mobility has been now in place for close to a decade. Maybe I could be wrong or less. What has led us to create this regulatory vacuum? If you're being honest and you're taking us into your confidence, because this regulatory vacuum is what has brought us here and why we're having this 3-day strike. And part of the issues that are coming out is that the regulatory vacuum has created an unsafe practices, so to speak, and in fact harmful practices, both on the workers' level, but also on the consumers, the passengers' level as well. Why have we allowed this to happen?
Well, firstly, let me say that the issue of what you call a policy legislative vacuum, I think it's important to just acknowledge and to appreciate that when the reality of the e-hailing system dawned on us as a country and it becomes an issue, national government immediately initiated a policy process to amend the NLTA, which is the National Land Transport Act. Currently, we have a bill which soon will come into law, and it does make provision, and of course, depending on in what final form it comes, it will deal with the matters that relate to law and regulation on the industry. Those issues are quite at an advanced stage, and I think at this point, we should allow national government to deal with the matter. For us as a province of Gauteng, when they approached us in just last year, requesting that we bring them closer in terms of negotiations consultations and engagements with the e-hailing companies, Uber and Bolt in this case. We created a mediation platform in which we believe that the issues belong there. And to that extent, we have, yesterday when we discussed with them, agreed that whilst the mediation has had its challenges, took long, but at least let's commit to wrap it up in the next 3 months. And we are quite confident that in the next 3 months, we will be able to deal with certain issues that really requires the e-hailing companies and their business partners to find each other on some of those issues. And we're quite confident that we will be able to break some ground.
Yeah. How binding is that forum? It sounds a little bit informal. It sounds as if it's unbinding. It's some kind of consultative process between the role players. How binding is this particular forum on the part of the employer and on the part of those who are using the service?
Well, this is a negotiation. You're right. It's a voluntary consultative process because sometimes it's important to have an understanding that is a product of negotiations, discussions, and engagements. And sometimes solutions are better, sustainable, and they make their impact when they are a product of an all-inclusive, transparent, open process where you don't leave anybody out. In that way, you are better off than, issuing instructions, directives. Sometimes you need the law to be enforced. Sometimes negotiations and discussions, even within the framework of the law, our country is one best example in the world where parties themselves, without being forced, appreciate the importance, the necessity, the significance of talking. These are business partners. They have entered into relationships amongst themselves. There are challenges between and amongst them. But we believe that negotiations are far much better in our country. It's a good example of that. Yeah. So, but once the report has been put forward as a provincial government in consultation with the minister, in consultation with the municipalities, we will also say what is the most appropriate action to take. And in that case, nobody will say, we were not consulted, we were not aware, we were left behind. Yeah. So sometimes when you implement recommendations, when you enforce decisions, it is always better to hear the other side, to take their inner, thinking, their approach to the issues, to take that into account. So we need an all-inclusive, win-win consultative process. If anyone undermines the mediation process, when we implement and take appropriate action, within the law, of course, not arbitrary decisions, within the law, when we do that, they will not say we were not consulted, decisions are imposed on us, and that's why we believe a 3-month period should make everybody to say, yes, I was consulted. If we ignore our process, there will be risks. And those risks, when they sit on your doorstep, you can't say I was not consulted. Yeah. That's why I'm appealing to Uber and Bolt and to the driver partners that it is better for all of them to sit around the table, to engage, to discuss, and as business people, as business partners, I'm quite sure that they can find a better way forward with the independent mediator that we have appointed.
Why are you pointing those two particularly out? Are the partner drivers, have they abandoned the mediation process, or have the companies themselves abandoned the mediation process? Why are you highlighting those two companies?
Well, when we were asked to intervene, it was Uber and Bolt that were put for us. Of course, yesterday they did mention that Some of them belong to another third player, but that's not yet such an issue because we started this process with a 2. And we are mentioning the driver partners because that's what they prefer to be called.
All right.
As parties to this process, and I mustn't, let's allow the process to unfold and let everybody submit to it.
Yeah.
And we're confident that it will take us somewhere one step forward. It's very important.
MEC, I appreciate your time. We're out of time. Thank you very much for coming on and giving us that update this evening. MEC for Transport in Gauteng as well as Infrastructure, Jacob Mamabolo.